The discussion that was triggered by the AG's press conference, touching on 3 key issues. The former CEO of the National Signals Bureau, and then the National Service Secretariat, and then the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. He updated on 3 specific issues. I'll bring you that highlight shortly. So let me give you highlights. This is what Dominic Ayine has been saying to the press. He spoke yesterday mid-morning.
Official documentation on the transfer revealed that the amount was for the payment of cyber defense system software, which the National BNC was buying from ISC Holdings in Israel. Mr. Adu-Boahene, in effect, transferred the money from the National BNC to his private company, the private BNC. A review of the transactions on the bank accounts reveals that once the funds from the National BNC landed in the account of his private BNC at UMB Bank, Mr. Adu-Boahene caused his private BNC to transfer an amount of 9,537,520 Ghana cedis to ISC Holdings in Israel. By the exchange rate at the time, this amount was the Ghana cedi equivalent of 1,750,000 United States of American dollars. To justify or facilitate the transfer of the 9.5 million and the 9.5 million, Mr. Adu-Boahene fraudulently attached a copy of the Government of Ghana ISC contract as well as an invoice, which he held out as an invoice issued by ISC Holdings Limited or in respect of the Government of Ghana ISC contract. On March 18, 2020 and March 30th, 2020 respectively, he again transferred 21 million Ghana cedis from the National BNC Director's account at Fidelity Bank to the same private BNC account at UMB. The narration of the transaction indicated that it was for the payment of the cyber defense systems that the National BNC was buying. The transfer from the National BNC's account brought the total transfers that he made to his private BNC to 49 million Ghana cedis. By the exchange rate at the time, this amount was exactly the Ghana cedi equivalent of 7 million United States of American dollars. The exact full amount which he quoted as the price at which ISC Holdings sold the cyber defense equipment to Government of Ghana. All the payments transferred to the invoice, a number from ISC Holdings, all the payments reference the invoice number from ISC Holdings to the National BNC. Importantly, after the initial transfer of the 9.5 million Ghana cedis, which was the equivalent of 1.750 United States of American dollars from the private BNC to ISC Holdings, no further payments were made to ISC Holdings. A review of the transactions on the private BNC account reveals that after the payment of the 1,750,000, Mr. Adu-Boahene and his wife began applying the rest of the funds for their personal use, making transfers to local third parties, personal investment, as well as transfers to unknown persons. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen of the media, we have all the account details, we have all the receipts, and any person who took money from Mr. Adu-Boahene from that account, we know. Now, our investigation, which was conducted by EOCO, as I've indicated, has established that the ultimate beneficial, in essence, the difference between 49 million Ghana cedis being the money Mr. Adu-Boahene transferred from the bank account of the National BNC to his private BNC, and 9.5 million being the money he actually paid to the ISC Holdings for the software, ended up with him and his wife. That is to say that the sum of 39,462,480 Ghana cedis of taxpayers' money went into their private pocket. The investigation has revealed that the ultimate beneficial owner of BNC Communications Limited is another company known as Advantage Solutions Limited. 10 other companies are through a very complex web of shareholding and directorship connected to Mr. Adu-Boahene and his wife, Angela. Investigations have also established that monies, mostly proceeds of crime from the Advantage Solutions Limited and BNC Communications Bureau Limited and other similar sources have been transmitted under very suspicious circumstances through the bank accounts of these companies. The investigations have revealed so far that the suspect and his wife have registered companies which we are currently tracking. We are tracking all the companies. There are about 10, of them that they created with Advantage Solutions, mostly owning all the companies. For purposes of the investigation that is ongoing, we are not going to disclose those companies, but I want to warn any executive, director, or employee of each of the companies who, knowing that Mr. Adu-Boahene has been arrested, if they make movement of assets, we will track and arrest them and prosecute them. So they are all warned. All banks are also warned that if we see any wire transfers or cash withdrawals on any of the accounts belonging to Mr. Adu-Boahene and his companies, the bank managers and all their employees who are involved in those transfers will equally be arrested. After this press conference, no activity, and we are monitoring all their bank accounts from the Financial Intelligence Center.
So that was Attorney General Dominic Ayine on Kwabena Adu-Boahene. He also gave updates on two other matters, one having to do with the SkyTrain and the $2 million payment, as well as the National Service Authority issue.
In respect of SkyTrain, we can confirm that the $2 million was paid at the request of the chairman of the board of directors of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, that is GIIF, Prof. Ameya Ekunfi, and then and then the CEO, Mr. Solomon Asamoah, who is currently hiding in Senegal. We tracked him first and noticed that he was in South Africa. So he left Ghana somewhere around February 2nd, the 2nd of February, to South Africa. So we were monitoring him in South Africa. And then he left South Africa and is now in Senegal. When we contacted him, he told us that he will not come to Ghana until I think he didn't say April, 3 months from now. Okay, so he's giving us 3 months to come to Ghana, very much like Ken Oforiatta, right? It reminds me of Ken Oforiatta. So he says he will come to Ghana in 3 months. So we are patiently waiting for him. If he wants to be tried in absentia, that is his choice to make. But we have the prosecutorial authority to prosecute him in absentia. And of course, the person who acted with him to transfer that money, the Prof. Ameya Ekunfi, is in the country. So if there is going to be delay, we'll start the prosecution with him being a suspect who is being tried in absentia. So on the SkyTrain, we noticed that there was no board approval for the transaction and the conditions precedent to disbursement had not been met. The other board members and our review of the minutes of the board of directors have confirmed this fact. So we requested for all the minutes, of the board of directors within the period that this transaction occurred. And our perusal of the minutes show quite clearly that there was no board approval. Also, the interrogation has revealed, that the other board members said that they did not have knowledge of this transaction. In fact, there was one of the minutes where one of the members questioned why the GIF was in a hurry to make payment for this transaction. And no, answer of any significance was given to him by the two persons who, schemed and transferred $2 million of taxpayers' money to a Mauritius company. In fact, we tracked the company to Mauritius, and a lawyer in Mauritius has confirmed to us that it is non-existent. But that's also, a developing story. Now, the money, you see, if you are buying shares in a company, okay, you are buying shares in a company, that's your equity contribution to that company. The money is supposed to be paid into the share account, the shares account of that company. But the money was given to Africa Investment Holdings, okay? And when, it was paid, we noticed that Africa Investment Holdings was paid 100,000 United States of American dollars as the GIF's contribution to equity. And then listen to this, 1.9 million was paid to Africa Investment Holdings as share premium. Now, when you are paying for share premium, for those of you who are accountants and lawyers, well-versed in corporate law, share premium is not paid for nothing. It is paid for the performance of the company or the growth of the company and so on and so forth. So the company must have a certain track record, okay? But maybe they know something that I do not know. And in the course of investigation, we may know why. Maybe there is some other principle for paying a share premium, to a company, an SPV that you just incorporated, all right? And I believe that the accountants will confirm that with share premium, it's easy for the directors to take the money than when it is the share, when the money is in the actual share account. So it can tell you that this was done with some criminal enterprise, in mind. But again, I'm not prejudging anything. If we come across evidence, okay, that shows that they are innocent, I will not go to court. I told this country that I will not take anybody to court unless I am convinced that there is evidence to prove the guilt of the person beyond reasonable doubt. And as I've laid out, you can tell from what we have done. And I must thank the Economic and Organized Crime Office, the director, and especially the Deputy Director in charge of operations, Raymond Archer. He led the operations. And on a weekly basis, we met, got briefings, himself, myself, and my deputy, and the team. We got briefings. We didn't talk about it. So I want to let you people know that when I'm investigating something, I will not give media interviews, okay? Because when you grant media interviews on investigations that are unfolding, all right, unless you have grasped the evidence like I now have on SkyTrain and SkyTrain and then the National Service Scheme, okay? Those significant progress has been made. And I believe that if I took those two cases to court, I will obtain a conviction. That is why I'm telling you about them.
All right, so that was Adu-Boahene on the SkyTrain matter. He also made a comment about the National Service Authority investigation in relation to the Director General.
Now, I want to say something briefly about the oral investigations. Now, in respect of oral, significant work is going on in relation to the investigations of the allegations of looting of state resources contained in the oral report submitted to me a few weeks ago. In view of the fact that these matters are still under investigation, I will not go into the details as I have done with the case of Adu-Boahene. But I can confirm that investigations will conclude in the National Service and SkyTrain scandals by the middle of April for prosecutions to begin. In the National Service scandal, 8 suspects have been interrogated, and a good number of them have started singing. They are cooperating with our they've started singing, literally. Yeah? So we will give you details of their songs at the appropriate time. In view of the fact that Yeah, okay. So, indeed, we now have evidence of payments that were made into the accounts of the top executives of the National Service by vendors, private vendors, and staff of the scheme. We also have evidence that in November 2024, and listen to this carefully, the CEO of the National Service Scheme and others paid a Ghanaian MP to kill the story in the media and to defend them. Now this is a developing story, and more will come out very soon. In respect of SkyTrain, we can confirm that the 2 million was paid at the request of the chairman of the board of directors of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, that is GIIF, Prof. Ameya Ekunfi, and then and then the CEO, Mr. Solomon Asamoah, who is currently hiding in Senegal. We tracked him first and noticed that he was in South Africa. So he left Ghana somewhere around February 2nd, the 2nd of February, to South Africa. So we were monitoring him in South Africa. And then he left South Africa and is now in Senegal. When we contacted him, he told us that he will not come to Ghana until I think he didn't say April, 3 months from now. Okay, so he's given us 3 months to come to Ghana, very much like Ken Oforiatta, right? It reminds me of Ken Oforiatta. So he says he will come to Ghana in 3 months. So we are patiently waiting for him. If he wants to be tried in absentia, that is his choice to make. But we have the prosecutorial authority to prosecute him in absentia. And of course, the person who acted with him to transfer that money, the Prof. Ameya Ekunfi, is in the country.
All right, so those were highlights of the press conference yesterday that set social media alight, lots of discussion. There was a release of some of the properties allegedly purchased by Adu-Boahene, which is, I think, where a lot of the attention has been focused on. There's also been commentary around the national security outfit generally and how this could have, if indeed it is proven, this could have happened and nobody noticed or stopped it or checked it, if indeed it did happen. Now, his lawyer has sent a letter out, and I think it's fair for me to read it. And Zoe Achia and Co. is the name of the law firm, and we know lawyer Atachia. He is the counsel for the man and his wife. So, in the matter, and this is yesterday, 24th March, in the matter of the violation of the fundamental human rights of Kwabena Adu-Boahene and Angela Boateng and the Attorney General, reset version of the rule of law. And I'm going to read some highlights. We act as lawyers for Kwabena Adu-Boahene and Angela Boateng. Mid-morning today, 24th of March, the learned Attorney General of the realm, Honorable Dominic Ayine, in his reset version of the rule of law and romancing the press, pronounced our clients guilty of state looting in the court of public opinion and cheapened the press conference by saying our clients are still being investigated by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO. The learned Attorney General has been a distinguished lecturer of law, and we cannot fathom why he would use the power of the press rather than his advocacy at the bar to feed the general public with his prejudicial and skewed information, which he unprofessionally called evidence to poison our clients against the general public and by extension the entire world. The power to investigate any Ghanaian for alleged criminal offense has not party colors. It is a painstaking exercise to ensure that the rights of citizens are not abused and their personalities ravished by those who wield the powers of the state to protect that sacred exercise. All professional investigations and not party investigations are devoid of razzmatazz and propaganda. The suspect, who is the subject matter of the investigation, should not be disgraced before the assemblage of the so-called facts, which could tilt into making him an accused person. Suspects are not accused persons until they clinically put together investigations will graduate into a docket after the suspect is formally charged. When a suspect is being investigated, he is entitled to bail for the simple reason that the investigating body cannot treat him as an individual already pronounced guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction. The criminal jurisprudence of the world over frowns upon inquiry bill being used as an emotive weapon of punishment against persons who may be potentially innocent after adduction of evidence, not in the New Patriotic Party headquarters, but before a court of competent jurisdiction. It goes on page 2. When the Attorney General and or a prosecutor has assembled facts and not propaganda against a citizen of Ghana, the individual is then arraigned before a court of law. The charges are read against the accused, who may plead guilty, which opens the door for his conviction and sentence. When a plea of not guilty is entered for the accused, it kickstarts a criminal trial in which the Attorney General or his lawful representatives leaves the realm of emotions and party frenzy to demonstrate through evidence why his fellow Ghanaians should be convicted on the accounts of a criminal offense duly committed. We need not stress that from the arrest all the way to the point of conviction, if ever the accused person has a constitutional right to a lawyer of his choice. Archibald, one of the leading expositors of criminal law, practice and evidence, calls what is contained in the dossier as, quote, the theory of the prosecution, unquote. We have underlined this kindergarten position of the law to expose the fact that when a case from the highest level of the Attorney General is determined in the court of public opinion, then the matter has degenerated from prosecution, which must not be dressed in NDC colors, to persecution, whose oxygen and impunity is politically induced and very much an affront to the rule of law. With this as a prologue, we want to put the case of our client in context. Mr. Kwabena Adu-Boahene cannot be called a common criminal, and neither his wife, Angela J. Boateng. Prior to this sordid expose, Mr. Kwabena Adu-Boahene was the immediate director of the National Signals Bureau and is a man who is networked internationally. His wife, Angela, has never been a woman of straw, and she is doing considerable good business. On Thursday, 20th March 2025, Mr. Adu-Boahene arrived at Kotoka International Airport on a British Airways flight from the United Kingdom. It is totally false that he flew economy class to disguise himself, as the Attorney General was strenuously projecting it to be. Our client was in business class, a fact which is easily verifiable. It beggars belief that a criminal should be audacious enough to fly out of the jurisdiction through Kotoka International Airport, a security area, and return on his own free will to Accra, while the criminal routes of the Togo and the Ivory Coast borders are the safe options available to him. Obviously, the Attorney General is using a different eyeglass, and we cannot fault him for that. On his arrival at the airport, Mr. Kwabena Adu-Boahene reclined at the commercially important persons lounge. A ruse was created that there were immigration issues with his passport, and he was wanted at the open place where the passengers of all aircrafts landing at Kotoka International Airport check out. Our law-abiding client got into that open space only to be handcuffed for public ridicule and ferried to the Yoko cells, where he is still languishing. Page 3. The next day, Friday 21st March, his wife walked to the premises of Yoko to find out how her husband was doing, and she was immediately arrested. Rehearsed criminals do not voluntarily go to the place of their arrest. They run away and become fugitives from justice. Again, when the undertaking is persecution, it is easy to confuse decent and well-cultured Ghanaians from common criminals. As of today, Angela has been incarcerated by Yoko on the account of what the Attorney General is using to contaminate our client in the press and unprofessionally expose him to public opprobrium. It is difficult to come to terms with the fact that the Attorney General is comfortable with the press where there is no proof beyond reasonable doubt. The Attorney General has become the press persecutor of our client, a judge in his own court, while simultaneously asserting that he is still investigating the case. This is counterintuitive. We do not believe a change of government through constitutional means should degenerate into a reset version of the rule of law in which the press is fed with a pathetic, one-sided and untested position by the leader of the bar. This unmitigated prejudice and defamatory consequence will be prosecuted in the appropriate forum. We are shocked that at the press conference, the AG was even entertaining himself with issues of plea bargaining when the statements of the suspect are yet to be taken. It was even laughable that the age of Angela was lost on the Attorney General, given the fact that Yoko had seized her British passport, which obviously had their biodata. It is unfortunate that the wealth of citizens of Ghana with constitutional rights is being advertised to the whole world until Yoko finds a correlation between proceeds of the alleged crime and the property acquisitions. Then he gives some background. Kwabena became the Deputy Director of National Signals Bureau in 2016 during the NDC time in government. The MPP in power did not jettison his competences and vast experience in the field. Kwabena has been doing business well before he was appointed by the MPP government to the High Office of Director, NSB. It is very unprofessional to assert that the properties purportedly owned by our client were acquired after 2018 when there is no verification that they belong to our clients using criminal proceeds from their work. With respect, this disjointed logic exposes the bad faith and the desperate attempt to give political color to the Attorney General's own self-confession that the investigations are still ongoing. Attorney General's appetite to eat and cook meals is amazing. Last page. Today, Ghana is the crime scene, and the constitution has been turned upside down, and everybody can be guilty before evidence. Democracy is sitting upside down. I was very much surprised this morning when our clients were denied the right to counsel by IOCO with a reset constitution that I could not have the confidentiality of talking to my clients and giving them the appropriate legal advice prior to interrogation unless an official of IOCO listens to the lawyer-client solemn engagement. This reset rule of law defies my modest 31 years of legal practice. In today's Ghana, the Attorney General is acutely aware he has violated the rights of our clients relating to not more than 48-hour incarceration constitutionally prescribed, and tells the whole world that he can play with the bail issues by releasing our clients and rearresting them. We are seeing through the dastardly agenda that let us in the court of public opinion besmear Kwabena and Angela with filth and guilt, so that in the event of a court of law, equity and good conscience should find the case of the Attorney General as propaganda and not evidence. We can feed frenzy to the citizenry that yes, indeed, it is MPP judiciary that is setting the innocent free. We will pursue justice for our clients. We are undaunted. Our sense of law has been violated today. And to plagiarize the words of one American president, democracy is too strong for our learned Attorney General. Yours faithfully, Samuel Atachia, Zoe Achia and Co. Dated Monday, 24th March, 2025. So we brought you almost the full speech of the AG, and I've brought you the full response of the lawyer for the two, because there are others. There's a National Service, former DG, and there's also this SkyTrain matter, which I have not addressed. Quick thoughts, Sky. So this is where we are, AG, and indeed these are two lawyers you know, AG and also Atachia. Very typical Atachian language, I should say.
I think it's a bit flowery.
Very flowery, yes. That's how he writes.
Style,
that's how he speaks as well.
Yeah,
so you can tell, even without his signature, he wrote it.
Yeah.
So where are we and where is this going to lead us to?
Well, as a basic principle, I believe that if people have abused their offices and enriched themselves as a result, the people of Ghana should exact accountability. There should not be any ifs and buts about it. People must be sent to court. Courts must determine their guilt and determine the punishment. And then it will be up to the president to decide whether or not the person should serve the full term or that it should be truncated at some point with a pardon. I also believe that when necessary, there should be some information in the public domain as to what the investigative bodies are doing about a particular person who is accused of one thing or the other. But I believe that the Office of the Attorney General went in excess of what would naturally have been the requirement in his discussion of this matter yesterday. It is for a good reason that we presume constitutionally that a person is innocent until proven guilty. That means that the person can be charged, put before court. The two sides will litigate the matter before somebody who is not partisan in the matter, and then determine that, okay, you are guilty of this or you are not guilty of that, and then make the appropriate determination. What happened yesterday was to put the guy, the gentleman, before the Ghanaian people and assert with all the authority of the Office of the Attorney General that the man is guilty of the offenses he's been accused of, without giving him the opportunity to directly respond at the same platform. I find that objectionable. I think that it undermines the fair trial principles enshrined in Article 19 of the Constitution. I don't think that the Office of Attorney General is alive to its responsibilities too as the Office of the Ministry of Justice. Because Attorney General, yes, you prosecute, but in doing so, you must be minded by the fact that the person you are talking about is entitled to, certainty. So, in my view, yes, if the gentleman is accused of what he's doing and the evidence leads to a certain conclusion, take him to court, disclose all the facts at that forum, give the person the opportunity to respond to those, and then the judge will make a determination on the basis of the law, the facts, the arguments made, and
let me read something somebody sent to me and then see your comment. So this person says the FBI and the Department of Justice of the US usually give 3 types of information. 1, rarely used, but they through press conferences announce very important investigations. 2, they update the public through press conference on investigation, often done regularly when it involves terrorist attack or an attack on a high-profile person like that of President Trump. 3, they give details in a press conference of the case when they charge the suspect the morning before they are filed in court. Remember, suspects are charged at the arresting institution office and not at the court. Prosecutors only file the charges in court. So this is something somebody's adding.
Okay, so you see, there's a clear distinction there. First of all, I have said that it is important that we update the good people of Ghana on what we are doing. The Attorney General could have come with a very clear statement yesterday, about 5 lines. We have been investigating ABCD persons on so and so and so and so. As of this moment, it is my determination that we have gathered enough evidence to prosecute this matter in a court of law. And next week, we are filing charges accordingly. These will be the most likely charges. In the meantime, because the gentleman and the wife are entitled to, fair trial, and that they are to be presumed innocent until determined otherwise, you urge the Ghanaian people to refrain from making comments that will be prejudicial to the outcome of the case. As the Office of the Attorney General, you are committed to ensuring that whoever dips his hands into the national purse is brought before court. Exactly.
So you could have made it. You don't think they should have gone into all the details?
No. What they did yesterday, with the greatest respect. I respect the Attorney General. He's a good friend of mine, and is one of the people you admire because of his standing in the space of law. But with the greatest respect, I think what happened yesterday was in excess of constitutional requirement.
What about the other 2? The one on the national service and the Sky Train.
Yeah, so you can give test updates.
I don't think that one went into that much detail. I think that was more to just state that they spent some money and that one of them is not in the country.
Because, do you know why? Because what happens is that when you go the way he went, and let's assume, I'm not predetermining the matter in any case, in any event, the matter hasn't been put before court yet. If the court comes to a different conclusion, then the people of Ghana go after the judge who determine the matter.
Yeah, so
you understand?
You are skewing them.
So what you do is present the facts as you know them, the evidence before court. Let the lawyers argue it on the basis of the evidence and the law. When the judge takes the view that, look, you have prosecuted your matter to the degree appropriate, you convict.
But in balancing that with the public's right to know, that's what you said, that you can make the statement much briefer.
Exactly.
And not go into the details. Okay, what if you have finished investigation?
Even that, no, because it is not for the public to determine the guilt of what do you call it, the person charged.
Because the person will not have the same form to explain himself.
Exactly. He was not called to the same platform to now, okay, the Attorney General has finished. Okay, so you two come and read your response. No. The platform to determine that is the court of law. So the lawyers from both sides would fight it out, and a non-partisan arbiter would determine that. And let me make a quick comment before Godfred comes in. No, you have to. Which is what? I'm scandalized that in this day and age, we are still keeping suspects beyond 48 hours. The Constitution is clear. You arrest a person, you charge him within 48 hours and put him before court, or you let him go. You have kept the person since he's returned from the UK into Ghana. And there's some justification for it when constitutionally, the language of the Constitution is clear. You can't do that. And the courts have pronounced on this matter in clear terms that it is completely unacceptable. If it happened under MPP, it was wrong. If it is happening now, it is wrong. If it happened under Nkrumah, it was wrong. We should not be encouraging these things. If you can't charge him, let him walk.
Well, there's a lot more happening. This is a fluid situation. We are told that there's more information that will come in the next few days on other people. So these are very interesting times.
I just want to say, I think the people of Ghana, despite what Sky is saying, are very happy with the age. They are very happy. So we have to understand that people want to know what's going on. I understand what Sky is saying. I can agree that maybe they should not be held 48 hours. That one very different. 100%. But I think people also want to see that things are moving.
There's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure on the AG.
The temptation. Trailer in Manila, the whole country,
the crimes.
No. An attorney general and minister of justice, with the greatest respect, should not talk. You go to court. You make your case.
He will go
Let
to
the
court.
court prove that the man is guilty.
Both of you have made your point. We will see how this develops. Thank you, gentlemen.